In case you weren't paying attention, the lyrics, which I'm considering the soundtrack for today's ceremony, went something like this. You can't always get what you wanna. You can't always get what you wanna. Well, if you try sometimes, you just might find you get what you need. And that's what today's ceremony is all about. Getting what we need, a connection from Steelyard Commons to the current Towpath Trail on Lower Harvard Avenue. We're not going to be here to boast about hundreds of acres of preserved wetlands or any kind of environmental remediation, because to be quite frank, that wasn't in the cards for us here. And in fact, what we wanted was a trail that would have hugged the river, gotten all the way here, elevated up, and landed here somewhere in this vicinity of Steelyard Commons. But as we went through what ended up being 13 different trail alignments to try to solve that problem, we ended up turning to an answer that is going to get us what we need, that connection. So we're joined today by a very distinguished group of speakers here, and hopefully the ceremony will be such that it won't rain on us, and we'll be moving forward and moving onward after this ceremony to continue to build a trail to its ultimate terminus at Canal Basin Park. To start it off, we're going to invite the current county executive, Armin Budish. The county itself has been a long-standing partner and a long-standing member of a group that's dedicated to building this towpath trail. It actually started under County Planning Commission, which really helped to head up and spearhead, if you will, the trail alignment for the towpath trail, and they did some ancillary studies. In fact, somewhere in the audience is Rick Sika, who was the chief planner of one of those studies that was just monumental in getting us going here. After the trail alignment study was passed, and after we got designation as a National Heritage Area, we turned our attention to trying to find and solve some of the biggest problems we will have, and that is finding the money to do it. And trust me, we needed to find some big money, and we will have representatives here that will speak to that. But as the county itself went on to put under Bob Kleiber and Stan Kozaleski the job of designing and getting the job done, that since now has passed, the torch has passed. We have a new county executive, we have Matt Carroll in the audience, we have some of the other county employees here. And I think we can safely say we've had some tremendous support from that county executive. And we expect that this project will move forward to the day in 2020 when it's built all the way to Canal Basin Park. So without further ado, help me welcome Armin Budish.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
So I got my 15-minute speech here, but I told the mayor that, and he said maybe 1 minute. So I try to listen to the mayor. When people measure a community, when they look at where is a good place to live, quality of life is always high on that list. That includes arts, culture, food, entertainment, and recreation. The Towpath Trail extension is a great investment for our region. It makes Cuyahoga County a better place to live. So I'm very excited to be here for stage one of this project, even though it's really not stage one, or it's not the first stage at least. It seems like we've been working on this for years, and I'm sure you feel that way, since you've been shepherding this for years. But collaboration is what makes this work. The county, the city of Cleveland, Cleveland Metro Parks, and Canalway Partners all have been working hard on making this happen. I want to especially thank the county's Public Works Department for managing the design and the construction, Mike Dever, Dave Marquardt, and many others. I want to give a special thanks to project manager Jessica French and construction area engineer Darwin Murtis, who led our county's efforts. And I want to thank especially all the people on the stage here behind me for the great work that they've been doing and continue to do. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Armin. You know, when I mentioned the lyrics, you can't always get what you want. Well, certainly there's one person up here that thought he would get what he wanted or what he needed a lot quicker than it's come. Back in, I think, was it 2004, Mitchell, that we got together in the mayor's office?
Might have been around that.
Around there. Yeah, we all forget. Anyway, about 2004, we read an article in the paper about a person who was buying up part of the LTV, the former LTV steel mill, with the intention of putting in a mall. And as part of those plans, it included a quote-unquote steel museum, and it also included a commitment not to take advantage of any tax breaks in terms of building it. And I remember reading the story and suggesting to then Chief of Staff Chris Fronane that maybe we ought to invite Mr. Schneider in for a little meeting and understand a little bit more about what he had in mind. And we did, and we were just joyful to hear that everything that the article talked about, he was committed to, and beyond. In fact, he committed to not only honoring a 50-foot easement for the building of the Towpath Trail, but he actually went further and said, upon a suggestion, that maybe it would be better to build the trail as part of the shopping center build out rather than wait for us to come afterwards. I hope you're still happy about that decision. Now when we talked about coming afterwards, we said a few years later. Well, here we are, folks. And he built that trail system and helped put the seeds in for the Steel Heritage Center that's there with an ArcelorMittal sponsorship on it. And he built the trail, and then we think that might have rang up anywhere between $3 and $5 million. We don't know. And the other thing he did was he allowed for us to work with him in the city in creating what's called a tax incremental financing district that has allowed us to build local match money. And to be quite frank about it, without those funds, we would not be here today. So it's been a long time coming, and hopefully we got what we needed. And to that end, let's welcome one of the most patient developers and most progressive developers that I know in the city of Cleveland, Mr. Mitchell Schneider.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate those kind words. And welcome, everybody. We started off, it was in 2004. I thought we met a little later, but I actually started working on Steelyard Commons back in 2001. So the issue of patience and persistence were there from the get-go on this project and have remained to this day. But our idea in building Steelyard Commons was really to bring a quality retail facility to the city of Cleveland to serve the residents of the city of Cleveland, to serve the neighborhoods of the city of Cleveland, and to do our part in trying to support community development right in the core of our neighborhoods and the core of the city, because we felt that the core of this city is really vital to the ongoing vitality and economic vitality of the entire region, and we wanted to do our part. Tim approached us with the idea of creating this TIF on this project, which I think ultimately will create a fund of about $10 million, which will support retail storefront development in certain neighborhoods surrounding Steelyard Commons, and then the lion's share of it to support the towpath, as Tim has suggested. These two objectives, storefront redevelopment, this towpath, we believe continue the work of serving the residents and neighborhoods of the city of Cleveland, and also serving as economic development catalysts for these neighborhoods. And of course, trails and greenways, even when they're through an industrial valley, add to a healthy, vital environment for people to thrive. Being outdoors, being connected to other people in other neighborhoods, and being able to engage through communities on a towpath trail like this is certainly something that leads toward health and vitality and well-being. And as Armin said, the recreational well-being of our residents. So I have been thrilled to be a part of this project from the get-go, not just Steelyard Commons, but the Towpath Trail adjunct to it. And I'm just thrilled to be at the groundbreaking for this last connection. I just want to say thanks to all of the parties involved. It's taken a lot of patience on everyone's part, and more important, it's taken a lot of tenacity and persistence on everyone's part. Whether it's the mayor's team meeting in the Red Room on a monthly basis for years. The county and the planning commission of the county, city council in its support of this project, the Metro Parks, and of course Tim and Canalway Partners. Just an amazing group of people to bring this about, and I congratulate all of you in making it happen, and I'm glad to have played our share, so thank you.
Thank you, Mitchell. You know, it's very much an honor to introduce the next person. He's a councilman of this area, but when we first got together, he was the local development director for a group called Slavic Village. And he and his team, and that team included Bobby Richtell and included Marlene Wesleyan in particular, saw the value of this idea of creating a national heritage area and what a trail network could mean not only to that idea, tying together all these various points of natural, cultural, historic significance, but also what it could mean to Slavic Village, in particularly unearthing, if you will, or rediscovering Cleveland's only waterfall, the Mill Creek Falls. That later actually went on to expand in terms of their vision, including Morgana Run, and that vision continues to expand now with a trail that will one day link that neighborhood using an I-77 corridor, getting downtown and back to Canal Road along its historic route, and tying into ultimately Canal Basin Park. So we're very happy to invite Councilman Tony Brancatelli here, not only to talk about his ward connections here, but to thank him for his long-standing involvement with this particular idea. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Brancatelli.
Thank you. Thank you, Tim. Of course, the most complicated linkage would be in Ward 12. As Council President Kelly and the Mayor know, we're constantly figuring out complications in Ward 12, whether it's a little uranium going on at the Harshaw Chemical or any number of landfills that we're dealing with on a daily basis. But I'm really excited to be here. What a great and glorious day. And I wanted to add a couple more lines from that song, "You Can't Always Get What You Want." I will change the pronoun, but it was when I first met Tim Donovan. Sitting in a bar, glass of beer in his hand, I knew he was going to make his connection. And those are two lines out of that song. He is making the connection, and this complicated connection is really leading to an amazing, amazing trail going through our neighborhoods, connecting our neighborhoods, and certainly want to thank Ms. Schneider because that TIF, those dollars that are coming in, that are helping our small businesses, that are really making our neighborhoods more vibrant. And there's just a couple of comparisons I want to make. Not really much of a reach of a comparison, but when you look at the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, the pyramids, the Colosseum in Rome, the statue of Zeus in Olympia, and maybe Stonehenge, those big blocks behind us, this truly will be one of the wonders of the world when it's completed. And thank you for all of our partners and Tim for making this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony. And we all know Tony's a member of an elite club, if you will, a club of council persons, and they have a head, and thankfully he's a very visionary head and a big supporter of this project and projects like it throughout the city of Cleveland. And so without further ado, let's bring him on up, Mr. Kevin Kelly. We'll get him.
Thank you, Tim. This is a great day. This is a great project that we're here to celebrate. We've touched on this topic, but I just want to make sure everybody understands. We've thanked all the partners that have been involved, but the Canalway partners and Tim Donovan particularly, it takes somebody that is really going to grab onto this and not let go until it's done. Somebody who is just on this right side of obnoxious, sometimes crossing over about what needs to happen to get this done. And Tim is that person. And that's really been essential for this to come to fruition. Those of you who do this type of work know that 1 mile of trail is fraught with hundreds of thousands of hours of legal work in terms of whether it's title work or whether it's easements or whether it's right-of-way issues that need to be resolved. To get this 1 mile done was the result of a tremendous amount of work. And what do we have to show for this? We have, this is a This is a milestone not just for the Towpath Trail, but for the city of Cleveland as we transform into a more bike-friendly, a more recreation-focused, a healthier community. This is an essential part of that, and I just really want to thank all of the partners that came together. That, you know, when we talk about, when we're sitting here, maybe not here, but somewhere 20 years from now, when we look at the completed Towpath Trail and who was really involved in, you know, reclaiming our natural assets. You know, Tim was at the forefront and all the partners here. So I just want to thank everybody. This is a great day for Cleveland. I kind of feel like, you know, this complaining about the delays, you know, always get what you want. This is a great day. Gotta celebrate this one. So thank you. Very happy to be here and appreciate everybody's hard work to make this a reality.
Of course, building a trail like this takes money. In fact, the estimate that we have right now, in which we believe it'll be held up, is that this particular segment is a $5 million piece of business. So in order to fund a project like this, you look for what often is called the usual suspects. And the usual suspects in this case actually became a pretty unusual suspect, because it was the first time in the state of Ohio that we were able to access CMAQ funding to build a trail. They had done it in other states, they had not done it in Ohio, and we took the chance that we would make a successful argument to be able to tap into that funding and to use that funding as the major source of funding for this Towpath Trail project from Cleveland's at Lower Harvard all the way into Canal Basin Park. In order to have that happen, we needed friends and allies, and chief among those friends and allies was a little group called NOACA. And unfortunately, Grace Gallucci could not be here today. She had something come up, but we are lucky to have a spokesman for NOACA to come up and share their thoughts about their involvement with the Towpath Trail, Miss Jocelyn Clemmings, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Tim. And on behalf of Grace Gallucci and the entire NOACA board, we are so pleased to be here today and to be a part of this great project. It is a little known fact, but NOACA has actually contributed over $30 million to the overall Towpath Trail. This makes the Towpath Trail one of NOACA's largest investments ever. Clearly, this recognizes its importance as a regional and statewide connection for bicyclists. This leads to better travel options, better air quality, and better quality of life for all of us in Northeast Ohio. Thank you for having us here today, and with that short statement, I will hand the mic back over to Tim.
Big money, but small birds, really. And let's give NOACA a bigger bit. 30 million, come on, let's show our appreciation here. Besides NOACA, we also needed to coordinate with the Ohio Department of Transportation. And again, we're lucky to say that we've had just tremendous support from that department, especially locally here. And with that, we want to bring the current representative of ODOT District 12, Mr. Myron Pakush, back to the stand here.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate that. Again, my name is Myron Pakush. I'm the District 12 Deputy Director for ODOT. First, I'd like to thank all of the local partners, as the theme has been, involved in making this iconic trail come to fruition. City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, especially the Department of Public Works and the Planning Commission, NOACA, Cleveland Metro Parks, and Canalway Partners. So please join me in a round of applause for all those involved to show us appreciation for their support and hard work. Thank you. ODOT has been involved with the Towpath since probably about 2000 during the early planning process, and we are very happy to be here today for breaking ground on what we're calling Stage 1. ODOT's involvement includes administering the federal funds that Jocelyn mentioned, provided through NOACA's Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Program, the CMAQ program. These funds are for projects located in the largest urban areas of Ohio that reduce congestion and improve air quality. While this is the shortest stage of all the stages that we're building here, the Towpath will ultimately provide great pedestrian and bicycle access to various destinations and points of interest beyond downtown Cleveland and its southern terminus in New Philadelphia. Tuscarawas County upon completion of this and the remaining stages. Thank you again for having me here today for the groundbreaking, and we look forward to working with everyone involved to complete this important public improvement project. Thank you.
We're moving right along here today, aren't we? Got rain coming. Okay, I'll keep it going. I'm about to introduce the last speaker on our agenda, and that is Mayor Frank Jackson. I wanted to share just a couple stories that I hope will help illuminate Frank's advice and consent in terms of how this project really gets done. I'm going to go back in time to when Frank was council president, and we went on kind of an informational tour, if you will. We had a couple board members. I think we had Bobby Richtel was certainly one of them. I don't know, Tom, if you were on that tour or not. But nonetheless, we met individually with all the council members to talk about the Towpath Trail and to try to get their support for it. And when we got to Frank, Frank asked us one simple question. He said, "What's in it for my constituents? How is this going to benefit them?" And it was a great question because it opened our minds up to what we weren't thinking about. Because we weren't thinking beyond the trunk of the trail, and we needed to start understanding how that trunk has to grow the branches that make this relevant to all City of Cleveland people. And from that interchange, from that exchange, we changed our thinking, and we actually went to look and identify these branch trails that could benefit people beyond the immediate vicinity of the Towpath Trail, and are happy to say that at this point in time, as the City of Cleveland moves forward toward a sustainable and a green and a pedestrian-friendly city, they've adopted the slogan that we put out there, and that is that one day all Cleveland residents will be within a 10-minute bike ride of an off-the-road trail system that'll take you to the lakefront, the valley, downtown, all the historic neighborhoods, connecting actually all neighborhoods to each other through that network. And that is a vision and goal of the City of Cleveland, and that's a vision and goal that we share as Canal Way partners, and our partners share as well. So thank you, Mayor Jackson, for stimulating that kind of thinking, because we needed that little kick at that time. Secondly, more recent, I mentioned that we went through 13 iterations of a trail route through this particular area here, and how small problems became bigger problems. And just to visually point out what that means, you see that mountain? That was a hill when we started. And in fact, we were supposed to fly over that hill, and that hill was supposed to go away. But that's how things change. And so when we finally looked at a route that would have followed that area there, we figured out quite quickly that a northerly wind was going to make that just the most terrible visitor experience you could ever have, as you have cinders in your face. So that one went out the window. That was one of the 12 or 13 others. We got to a point where we were desperate. We finally said, there's got to be a way out of here. And we came up with an idea that we would build a structure that would somehow interrelate with the Harvard-Denison Bridge. And actually, the end point would be, it would be an enclosed structure from like Harvard Avenue all the way to here in Steelyard. There would only be one way on each end to get in and out of it, which would have made it a little bit of, I think, a visitor experience issue. But the main thing was our budget ballooned to $17 million. And if we were to execute that plan, that would have been the longest structure the City of Cleveland owned, the longest bridge structure. So Mayor Jackson, he faithfully, Ken Silliman, went to the mayor and said, here's what they got going. And the mayor rightfully said, tell them to go back to the drawing board, make sure they didn't forget anything. There's got to be another answer here. And you know what? He was right. There was another answer. It's the answer we're pursuing today, an answer that basically is taking back part of the public right-of-way to make the connection. As Tony Brancatello rightfully said, we're making the needed connection here, and we're doing so it's, in the end, a safe and separate path. We're not done with the Towpath Trail. We're going to have a couple more of these groundbreakings, and more importantly, we're going to have a couple ribbon cuttings, which are always more fun. And with that in mind, our ultimate destination is Canal Basin Park, and it's really, I hate to say it, but no, I don't hate to say it. The trail will not be done until we complete Canal Basin Park as well. All that being said, I am happy to welcome the leader of the City of Cleveland, our mayor, Mayor Frank Jackson.
Good afternoon. You know, I want to really thank Mr. Donovan for, as was mentioned, we all have visions and great ideals about everything, but they usually remain that until somebody owns it. And he has owned this. And without his effort and without his work, this would not be. This would not be. And as the county executive said, when people have choices in life and they choose where they want to live, work, play, and do business, they look at certain things. And this towpath, this trail, is one of the things that they will look at. And it will help Cleveland to be a more attractive place, a better choice, and help people make those kind of choices. But it's always about the partnership. It's always about the relationship. And the people that have spoken and those who do the work that are not up here are the key to making this happen. So again, I want to thank Mr. Donovan for all the ownership of this, success and failures, and really thank all the partners for what they've done to help him materialize this vision that we said we wanted, but we were always a little bit too busy to do. So thank you very much, man. Thank you.
Okay, as I look out in the audience, I see a number of shovels out there. Some people, hold your shovel up if you brought your own shovel here, BYOS. We're going to invite you to come and join us. We actually have a line of shovels behind us here for everyone on stage. Before I do that, I do want to recognize a few people that are in the audience that are here to show their support and the support of who they work for. Miss Karen Kadinsky, where are you, Karen? Right here with Senator Portman's office. Thank you for finding the time to come. Thank the Senator. The Senator has been very supportive of legislation to continue to work for the National Heritage Area. We do need some help there in Washington, and I know he's been trying to help deliver that for us, so we thank him for that. Anybody here that stand up if you are a member of our board, the Ohio Canalway Partners here. I want to thank these folks because they give their time and their money, their treasure and time, etc., to help make sure that we are sustainable as an organization, and certainly are highly involved with this project and many others. And I also want to recognize we have a sister group in Akron. We co-manage the National Heritage Area. They're called the Ohio and Erie Canalway Coalition. And we have two of their members here, George Evie and Caitlin. Wave your hands for everybody. Everybody welcome. No passports needed to get to Cleveland. You're fine. All right, are we ready to go and pretend like we're digging a trail? Let's get out. Let's cue the music.